Hello everyone, welcome back to a brand new video. Today this is going to be the next part of my book talk videos, I guess. In my previous two videos I talked about my other favorite books, and today I'm going to talk about 4 other ones that really inspire me as an artist or as a person. So then, let's get into it, and let's start off with the first book. From science fiction, we go to yet another science fiction book, Ready Player One, written by Ernest Cline. And yes, they made a film about her, but because I love the film, I also read the book, which is really interesting and much more different than the movie. So Ready Player One, the book set in the year 2045. The story follows Wade Watts, a teenager living in a world plagued by poverty, overpopulation, and environmental decline. Most people escape reality by immersing themselves in the Oasis, a vast virtual reality universe created by eccentric genius James Halliday. For his death, Halliday announces a contest. Hidden within the Oasis are 3 keys that led to an Easter egg. The first person to find the egg will inherit Halliday's immense fortune and control of the Oasis. Wade becomes a egg hunter, and embarks on his quest, facing puzzles tied to 1980s pop culture and battling the ruthless cooperation IOI, innovative online industries. So there we go. Which seeks control of the Oasis for profit. The novel explores themes of escapism, friendship, and the moral implications of technology. It's a nostalgic, fast-paced adventure filled with references to video games, movies, and music. There's also a sequel, Ready Player 2, but I'm just going to, read the short introduction to that. The sequel picks up shortly after the events of the first book. Wade discovers a new technology left behind by Halliday, the ONI, Oasis Neural Interface, which allows users to fully experience the Oasis with their senses. Oula, interesting. While innovation brings new possibilities, it also presents ethical and societal challenges or changes. Meanwhile, another quest is launched with a new mystery tied to Halliday's past and another race to secure the future of the Oasis. Dude, I think this is a really interesting book. Like, obviously there's a film about it, but that film is different from the book, because in the book you get to explore like a school planet and an arcade and stuff like that, and in the films you don't really see that. And the pop culture references are also very different from the book and the film. So there we go, very interesting stuff indeed. So the next book I actually discovered on accident. Yes, that should happen sometimes. So I actually wanted to Google Captain America Brave New World, but I actually typed Brave New World. So, I was thinking, well, maybe it just, pops up, right, obviously. But no, it did not. It was actually a book. A book called Brave New World by Aldous Huxley is a dystopian novel that explores a futuristic society where technology, control, and conformity have reshaped humanity. So there we go. The story is set in the world state, a society built on the principles of efficiency and consumerism. Yeah, humans are artificially created and conditioned in hatcheries, and they are divided into rigid castes: alphas, betas, gammas, deltas, and epsilons. So obviously, I'm an alpha male, beta male, gamma male, delta male, something like that, each designed for specific roles. The government ensures stability by suppressing individuality, controlling emotions, and maintaining constant happiness through the use of drug called soma. The novel follows Bernard Marx, an alpha who feels alienated from society, Lenina Crone, his companion who embodies conformity, and John, a savage raised outside the world state in a reservation. When John is brought to the world state, his natural emotions and values clash with the shallow artificiality of society, leading to tragic consequences. Themes: the cost of utopia, technology and control, consumerism, and human nature. And very interesting book indeed. Like I said, I actually stumbled upon this book by accident, but I do think this is one of the most important pieces of work. I did a lot of research about this book and watched a lot of videos, actually read certain passages in the book, And dude, I think this is really, really interesting. Obviously, the savage John going to the the world state, which is like this artificially and created world, where humans are set in different classes. Dude, isn't it just like, some kind of weird dystopia? So yeah, I think it is. So right, let's talk about the last book. So yeah, we're almost there, ladies and gentlemen. Just keep up. Alright, the last book, and the book that is probably one of the most important pieces of biblical lore, is actually Paradise Lost. Is an epic poem by John Milton, first published in 1677. No, 1667. Yeah, there we go. So, why is this important to the Bible? Well, let's just say Paradise Lost is a book, or I guess a wave of books about the devil himself and Satan, which is really interesting. But I'm going to talk about it. So obviously, it is considered one of the greatest works of English literature, exploring profound themes of free will, rebellion, and redemption. The plot: the poem recounts the biblical story of the fall of man, centering on Satan's rebellion against God, the temptation of Adam and Eve, and their subsequent expulsion from the Garden of Eden. It is written in 12 books, using majestic blank verse. So there we go. Satan's rebellion. The poem begins in hell, where Satan and his followers have been cast after rebelling against God. Despite his defeat, Satan remains defiant and vows to corrupt God's new creation, humankind. Journey to earth. Satan escapes from hell, journeying through chaos, to reach earth. Disguised as a serpent, he infiltrates the Garden of Eden. And obviously, we all know the story, right? Adam and Eve get... they live in innocence and harmony. However, Satan tempts Eve to eat the forbidden fruit, and Adam follows out of love for her. The fall and its consequences. Their disobedience introduces sin and death into the world, and they are expelled from paradise. The poem ends with Adam and Eve, sorrowful, walking hand in hand into the world, carrying hope for redemption. Themes: free will versus predestination. Milton grapples with the idea of free will, why God allows rebellion and sin, emphasizing the importance of choice. The nature of heroism, obedience and disobedience, redemption and hope are also very interesting. Milton's work is rich with philosophical, theological, and poetic depth, inviting readers to reflect on profound moral and existential questions. Which aspects intrigues you the most of the portrayal of Satan, obviously? So the concept of free will is also very interesting, and as we know, obviously I was baptized just long ago. Obviously in Europe, that's just whatever, man. It doesn't really care if you're baptized or not. Obviously Europeans are, they often are more religious than other people in the world. Obviously, I'm not going to tell you that Americans aren't really the same from Europeans, but I'm a European. I live in Belgium. I live in a small town where religion, it's, we all know it's sort of a thing to do, right? But we respect the people who do it, and respect the people who don't do it. And as a man with obviously free will, like stated in this the book here, I think I'm not going to talk about what is right, what is wrong, but I think as the stories that we know from the Bible, obviously Adam and Eve and God and the paradise, obviously, and the Garden of Eden, and just the entire stuff about Jesus and stuff like that, isn't it just very interesting? I think this is a controversial book to end on, but that's also why I put it at the end of the video, because I thought people should really know that I really love this story. But I do really think that it has certain ideas and certain things right and wrong, obviously. But I do think giving Satan himself a character, giving him morals and like the goal to actually have his redemption to God, I think that's very interesting. I think if you're a religious person, you should really read this. If you're not, you should really read this too. I'm not going to tell you what to believe or what not to believe, but I think just the idea of there are two sides of the story, one about God, which is obviously the Bible, I think, and one of Paradise Lost, which is about the devil. And I think that's really interesting, like two sides from the same story, but just other way of telling the story, if that makes sense. I'm not quite sure. I do think this story is very interesting, Paradise Lost, but there we go. But okay, ladies and gentlemen, I ended the video off with another great book. These are all very fantastic and interesting books. Obviously, a few that I haven't talked about, like The Stranger from Albert Camus. It's also very interesting and deeply beloved to me because, you know, existentialism and just why are we here? Is there actually a goal for us here? I'm not quite sure. Very interesting books, not going to lie. I really recommend all of these books to you. I really started actually just reading and trying to understand books just a few years ago, like a year or two ago. I really got into I really got invested into the stories of like philosophical ideas in books, if that makes sense. And something I'm really interested about and really enthusiastic about, because I do think, just like any other piece of art or fiction or stuff like that, you should really just lean into it and try to see with a critical view. So there we go. And all of these books, you should really check them out and read them and probably make your own assumptions, make your own, meaning, and make your own, just do it, man. Just try to read one of these books. I'm not the biggest book fan. I just stumbled upon these books one day and I was like, okay, that's interesting, and this is interesting, and that book is interesting. And that's how I got into like other films and other TV series and stuff like that. So I guess just try to explore the world. I try to explore the different I guess literary parts or books, or just you can watch a film or so. Just try to explore art, and that's the most important thing. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I think this video was long enough, so I will check you later. Goodbye, everyone.